Darran O'Sullivan, you're very welcome here to Terrace Talk.
Thank you very much.
I only seem to get hold of you when you're retiring. You're very difficult. I was chasing you around for years, but used to do the old press conference. First of all, we'll go to the decision you made. The decision you made to retire. The legs are still fast. I've seen you in the county championship. Was it family, stroke business? Was that the big decider for you, Darran?
I suppose it's a combination of everything. I suppose I'm at it a long time. I suppose a lot of the fellas who I'd be, I suppose, closest with and I played the longest with were kind of pulling away the last year or two. Obviously, I only got married a year ago. My wife Laura is due in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So that's obviously going to be my priority from now on. And I just felt with I suppose, the demands of football, and obviously I have a business back in Ross Bay Beach with the bar Ross Point, that, you know, I just have to start focusing on my family life really a bit more at the moment. And football at the moment in the county it's 5-6 nights a week. It's very consuming, and I just didn't feel that I'd have the time for it.
And then there comes a day when you have, and I take it, and I heard it in previous interviews, you'd have spoken to the lads as well about the whole idea of deciding to retire, how to deal with it, and you got a pretty good send-off, and hopefully here tonight it'll be the send-off with the start of something new. Can I ask you, when did it all happen? You were born in the UK.
Yeah.
You had trials in the early years for soccer, for football. Did you go to, is it one of the London clubs, Darran?
Yeah, I would have spent a couple of years, just over 2 years, I think, with QPR, with their School of Excellence. And I was like every other London kid. I suppose I wanted to be a Premiership player, and I suppose like every other young lad at the moment, you know, they dream of being a famous soccer player, and I was no different. And I just I took up the football with Tyrconnell Gaels just to keep me busy really. My old boy wanted me to play a bit of Gaelic football. I said grand. And
how did you take to that first day, Darran? What was it like? You were talking about soccer being in London, a Londoner, to start that way, and then to be brought into the Gaelic game. What was that? What were your feelings on that when you started?
I was good. I actually remember my first ever game. I remember very vividly, really, John. I actually remember marking fella. It was actually against Kerry Gaels, and I spent most of the game actually standing talking to your man who was marking me. You know, because I was fascinated that another fella in London had Kerry connections, but I was decent at it. But it was mostly catch the ball, put it on the ground, kick it away out in front of myself, and I had the speed to go after it, pick it up, and do the same again. But I kind of mastered the solo and the hop and the kicking points alright after a while. But at the start, it was mostly like playing soccer for me, just kicking in front of myself.
And your dad being from Glenbeigh, he was always going to encourage you, and I suppose we're in the kingdom, always going to encourage you, and he probably knew at that stage. Did you know at that stage that you were going to move back to Ireland eventually?
Yeah, I'd say it was always the plan. Like when I think when we moved back, we had a nursing home in Glenbeigh, so we had business to come into as well, so that was always the plan. I think, well, the parents always knew that was the plan, and we used to be back 5, 6, 7 times a year, and it was an easy enough transition really.
What age were you when you moved back?
12.
12?
Yeah.
You don't have the London accent. You have a kind of a Ger O'Connor accent, a Glenbeigh accent.
The Ger's job.
You never lost that. It all started then from a football point of view. Was it through schools, Darran, or was it school stroke club? Yeah, well, it was like obviously I went to the ISK in Clorgan, which were a proud football in school. They'd won in All Ireland before, and you know, it was all GA back there, so obviously that was the main sport. Obviously I was playing with Glenbeigh Glencar, and it just took over. I played a bit of soccer with Clorgan. I played with the local team in Glenbeigh, Behy Rovers, but like from 12, 13, my interest in soccer went, and it was all about Gaelic football. It was all about playing for the school and playing for Glenbeigh Glencar and playing for Kerry. And then you have the Kerry South and the Kerry North and all. So the more football I played, the more... From what you're saying, so it was a very easy and smooth transition from coming from... It's very difficult for a lot of young guys that age, 12 years old, to settle in another country and a different culture, for want of a better word, but you'd have the grounding from the parents. But did you find it easy to, make new friends and new school and what have you?
Well, I suppose the first few months I used to travel back every couple of weekends and play soccer in London. Myself and my father Con we used to get on a plane, fly back, play our soccer match and fly back home. back to Kerry for school and stuff like that. Obviously, I knew a lot of the lads my own age from being around Glenbeigh every summer, every winter, every Easter. So, and all my cousins are Glenbeigh. So I was okay like that. I came straight into a group of friends and all my family around me, so it was fine. But obviously the first few months it was kind of back and forth, because like that I was leaving kind of midway through the year. It was around Christmas. It was Christmas time, so for the first 4 or 5 months I was back and forth all the time anyway.
Darran, those early years, any success with the school itself, ISK?
We won in under 15s. I can't remember what it was called now, to be honest. We won one competition, alright, but not a whole pile now, to be fair. We had some decent teams. I think it was under 15 or an under 16 and a half, I can't even remember. But we had some good teams, but we were coming up against a very strong Clausen Skellige team at the time.
And they were totally dominant in Kerry and even throughout the country. Darran, was there guys then, were you called into those development squads? I take it at that stage there was Kerry North, there was Kerry South. I take it didn't take too long for people to notice you, and suddenly you were part of a development squad in Kerry.
Yeah, well, I suppose I played with the Kerry Souths and the 14s, under 16s, like a lot of lads, and you'd have had a lot of the same fellas going to all the trials and all the matches and stuff like that. So you get to know all the players around the place, and playing county league games and playing from Mid Kerry and the county championship and stuff like that. You get to know all the players. You play against all the same players all the time, so you get to know them, and then lucky enough then get to make a Kerry minor team. But it was all football that time.
Darran, was it in those early days then you had a smooth transition into Gaelic football from soccer, even though you'd have played a bit of it at the other side of the pond? Was there any player that was your hero at that particular time? Kerry was full of elusive, quick, fast forwards, work rate, good striking. Was there anyone that you'd say I'd like to emulate what that player has done?
Yeah, I suppose I've been from Glenbeigh, and you'd only out the road, you had Mike Frank Russell and you had the Hassett.
Class act.
They were only a couple of kilometres out the road, so they were obviously the ones I was looking at. Obviously you'd Morris Fitzgerald then back another bit, and he actually used to call into the nursing home and to visit people, so every time I meet him it was kind of mouth open and just stare at him there was no shortage of fellas to be looking up to back then. But obviously with the local guys from Clorglen, they were the ones I was looking up to, because they were only living out the road.
Obviously the dad and your parents really pushed you and encouraged you. At what stage did they think, and you thought yourself that, look, I have a chance here of wearing a jersey at underage level for Kerry, and you thought that every player has a belief in themselves. You were blessed with one gift for a start. You were we call you a speedster. We'd say when you get on the commentaries, when Darran O'Sullivan got the ball, he was on his bike, but you always had the pace, which is very important.
Yeah, I suppose my parents did well to keep me grounded, because I suppose I wasn't exactly that shy. I was fairly confident in my own abilities, and I didn't need to be told if I was good or bad. I kind of had a bit of belief in myself. Now my old fella, in fairness, he trained me most of the time all the way up through the age groups as well, and he used to be able to keep me grounded, so no matter what I scored in a game, he'd always make sure I knew about the ones I missed or the one I should have passed, so I was lucky enough like that. I had good people around me that if I needed a bit of a pick-me-up, they were there. If I needed to be taken down a peg or two, which was probably more often than not, they were there for that as well.
Your first call up to Kerry minors, how many years were you a minor?
2. Well, I didn't get on the panel my first year till the quarter final, so I always actually remember going up to watch the minors. Didn't get on the panel. It was in the kind of Munster round robin, and I went up with my father. And
what year was that?
Buddy of mine, 2003.
Right.
So it was my father and Darran O'Sullivan, who's passed away since, and his nephew Peter, would have been the Glenbeigh-Glencar goalie and now selected with us, and we went up to watch the Kerry minors, because we'd obviously been in for trials and didn't make it or whatever, so we went up to, he said, we're going to go up here now, see who's in your position, and so that was my first remembering of the minors. But I was lucky enough to get on a panel then for the quarter final and make my debut that day and come on in the semi-final. But I suppose that was my first kind of taste for Kerry football, really.
And that was your first year as a minor.
Yeah.
The second year, you knew then that you'd be in the running scene. You were in the mix at the quarter-final stage the year before. Was there thoughts and aspirations of going all the way then, as an individual and likewise as a team? Because you'd have played with guys from the year before as well.
Yeah, I suppose I was a bit more comfortable coming in the second year, but we had a new coach in Sean Gainey, and I suppose from the very off he kind of gave me confidence and kind of helped me to believe in myself a bit. We had Tim Coffey from Beaufort, who was involved an awful lot, and Tim made me feel very comfortable around the place as well. So like that, I'd been around, I got a bit of experience the year before, which kind of helped my confidence. And you know, the more we played together, the more fellas got to know each other, the more confident we got, and we were lucky enough to get to an All-Ireland final, just not lucky enough to get over the line.
Darren, your favourite position, your second year of minor, where did you want to be in the 40? Did you want to be in the half hour or anywhere in the half hour line?
Yeah, I've centre forward's always been my favourite position. You have the pick of everything. You can go left, you can right, you can go back, you can go forward. You've everything, and if you have a bit of pace, it's always good. So I was kind of playing wing forward, kind of going in and out, and to be fair, they kind of left me travel around anywhere where I could cause a bit of trouble. They left me go there. So
if it was against any other opposition, you'd probably have won that day. But Tyrone had a mantra. They do it at senior level. They did it at minor level as well. And the one thing that I suppose when I think back in that final, the amount of times that Darran O'Sullivan was fouled during that minor final. Did you feel that it was coming from different players? A player was going to take one for the team that day because you were the biggest threat.
Yeah, I suppose it was all new to me. Do you know, I suppose we were young, we were naive, and you know, you've been fouled before, like, but I suppose they opened my eyes to the, I suppose, a more cynical game. But to be fair, it was only, I suppose, game management really.
Were you targeted that day, Darren?
You'd have to say, yeah. I suppose it isn't a coincidence when you're taken down and they swap the man every couple of minutes, but that's just the way it was. It was a good eye opener for me that you can't run it every time. I suppose it took me a couple of years to get used to it, but look, it was a tough lesson, but that's the way it goes. That's the way the game was kind of going at that stage, and they just kind of took advantage of our naivety really to keep doing the same things.
Did that, coming off that final, because what happened, you personally, you were targeted, and likewise losing, was it a case that was built into the Glen Bay man then, that I want to go on and in the future I'm going to have other chances and I'm going to win All-Irelands?
Yeah, I suppose getting to an All-Ireland final and experiencing that, the fact that Kerry seniors were on after made it that bit more magical, I suppose. But sometimes losing finals is the best thing that can happen to you. You know, you have to learn how to lose as well. It's great winning, but I think you learn an awful lot about yourself and the group that you're with when you do lose. So having that bit of a setback or heartache early on in your career is always a good thing. And I suppose I was lucky enough to go in the following year and unlucky enough to have more heartache, but that just kind of helps you drive on. It stops you getting complacent. It kind of makes you want to improve and get better.
That would seem to be a transition time as well, that Kerry probably never experienced at senior level in 2003 as well, what they got from Tyrone. The game was changing, like you say, win at all costs. The purity and the traditional stuff kind of went out the window. Was that the start of the learning curve, Darren?
Oh yeah, it had to be. Like, we all want to play the free-flowing football where you don't get many belts or anything like that. It's all nice to watch. Everyone wants to play that, but I suppose they brought the game to a new level. They upped the intensity, and they made us have to look at ourselves and how we were going to approach it. So it was a challenge that we were lucky enough that we kind of stood up to, and we fought it. We won All Irelands after it, so it helped us to improve as well.
Yeah, it definitely was a transition. You mentioned there about the underage level. You were still at under 21 level, but it wasn't too long before the Kerry senior setup noticed you and what you had, and you were called up onto the Kerry senior squad. Yeah,
I suppose after the heartache of the minor final, I went back to the club, as we all do, and we won a novice championship. I think I have nearly a lot of the championships now in Kerry, but we won a novice championship with Glenbeigh Glencar over in Listroy, actually, against Churchill. And it wasn't long after that where I actually got a call from Jack about coming in for a bit of training, and I thought it was a prank call, of course, at the time, but they were training up in the AstroTurf in Clorglen, up by the ISK, and I was repeating my leaving cert, so I just remember taking the day off to rest up for training and driving up in my father's Jeep for training. I remember a few teachers pulling out against me saying, "You weren't in school today." I was like, "Oh geez, no, I was very sick." And they're like, "Where are you going now?" "I'm going training." They're like, I'm feeling much better. "Will you be in tomorrow?" "We'll see how training goes first." But yeah, I suppose I got called in, and sure, all my heroes were there training in the winter. I suppose they were only training because they were getting ready for their All-Ireland winning holiday off to, I think they were going to Mexico. I remember a few of the Glenbeigh lads were like, "Geez, they might bring you along." But I never got brought on the holiday. But I I was in training with him then, and I suppose once you get in training with him at all, you don't want
What
to
was
be
that
anywhere else.
like? What was that like moving? You played minor, you were there for 2 years, and a defeat in All-Ireland finalist at minor level. Suddenly you were in the senior ranks, and like you say, in with your heroes. Going into that dressing room, Darran O'Sullivan, the other guys inside there, Kieran Donaghy. Well, Kieran Donaghy's kind of started at the same time as you anyway, but they were still big names.
Yeah, all the big names were there. Seamus Moynihan was there, Darran O'Sullivan, Mike Frank, they were all there, you know. And I was very quiet. I probably didn't open my mouth a whole pipe for the first couple of months I was in the dressing room. I got a bit louder as the years went on, alright. But yeah, like for any young lad, you're going in, and these were all established players with all our medals won. So I was just in there. I was like a sponge, just trying to soak up any bit of info or knowledge I could get off them.
Do you think it upped your game straight away? You were in with serious players, the elite of Kerry clubs, and suddenly did you feel that you had to go up a notch yourself to be able to compete with these guys, even to make a Kerry panel?
Yeah, of course, sure. Like I was a lot younger. It wasn't like I was 6 foot plus and going in able to match them with strength or anything like that. So I just had to use what was given to me, which was a bit of speed, and try my best just to give 100% all the time. And that's what I did. There was nowhere else I wanted to be. So it took over my life, took over everything, and it was all football after that. Obviously, Glenbeigh Glencar were in transition at the time. We're Division 5. We just won a novice, so I was trying my best to play as many games as possible with them and get us up through the division. So, like, I don't think it would happen in any other county than Kerry that they'd bring in a player from at 18 playing in Division 5 at his club. But Jack did it, Pat did it, Eamon did it. Didn't really matter what club you were at or what level you were playing at. If you thought you were good enough, you were brought into given a chance, and I was lucky enough that once I was given that chance, I grabbed it and I wasn't about to let go. Your
Kerry senior debut then, Darran, what did that feel like? And
I suppose my debut was an All-Ireland final, so I suppose it doesn't get much more nerve-wracking than that. But at the same time, I was, like I said, I have a habit of smiling when I shouldn't smile. So Jack called me to come down, and I just remember I had to bite the inside of my cheeks to stop myself from laughing because I knew the camera would be on me. So I just ran in there with a big thick head in me trying to stop myself from laughing. And remember the first ball came in, I kind of fumbled it, but sure, all I wanted to do was just run at the defence. I was just like a new pup left out of the house for the first time, just running and racing around the place. But like that, I got on the ball as much as I could. I think I won a free or two, and think maybe helped to a point or something, but wasn't to be on the day. But like that, another setback just kind of drives you on. The blood was pumping at that stage. I'd got to Croke Park. I just wanted to win All Ireland after that.
It was hurting then, losing the minor and losing the senior. But that was all going to change then quite swiftly after that.
Yeah, like I do remember the function after, and it was a bit doom and gloom. I suppose Kerry had won it in 04 and lost now in 05, and even just listening to a few of the senior lads chatting to each other, and they were already talking about the following year. Nobody was dwelling on what had happened a few hours beforehand. Nobody was giving out about anything. It was, right, what do we have to do differently? And for me, that was all I needed to hear. You know, these fellas have won it, but they're not thinking about what they've won or what they've lost. Right, what are we going to do next year, and what are we going to do differently? So for me, it was like another learning curve. The first couple of years were all learning curves. Just like I said, I was like a sponge, just trying to take in as much as I could.
Who did you admire most as leaders in that dressing room? You're full of leaders, I take it, you know, household names in Kerry football since the All-Ireland win in 97, because there was guys still involved, the likes of the William Kerbys, Darran O'Sullivan. Who were the real leaders, the guys that you would say, when they speak, you would listen?
Yeah, I suppose I could name. There was 15 starting and 15 on the bench. You could name most of them, but I suppose one name that always, or one person that sticks out, is probably Declan, because he was only 3 years older than me. I came in at 18, 19, he would have been 21, turning 22, but that's exactly what he was. He was a leader, and he just led from the front all the time, just wanted the ball, wanted to make things happen. So obviously you had older, more experienced players, and they were obviously leaders, but somebody who was closer to my own age that I could kind of relate to, I suppose. And Colin was the same. They were only 21, just turning 22, but it didn't matter. They had their win already, obviously, but they'd had setbacks as well, but they just wanted the ball. They didn't talk for the sake of it. whenever they talked, you'd listen, because to a sense that they were talking. There was no cliches or anything like that. It was straight to the point. There was no messing around. So they were fellas only a couple of years older that I'd say, right, these are the fellas now that you have to be kind of learning off and watching.
And that's with most players. When you go in, you listen to these. You mentioned Declan there, a supreme ball player, one of the best centre forwards we've ever seen. You said it was your favourite position. But there was a feeling, I take it, in the Kerry camp, there's more in this team, the great balance, young fellas like yourself coming through, plus the older brigade, that there is a chance of winning All-Irelands with these guys.
Yeah, like I suppose, like even after losing, so I don't know, is it a Kerry thing or what, but we always feel we're going to be there and thereabouts. We just need to bring it to another level. And obviously, with Jack at the time, we probably thought outside, or he thought outside the box by changing Kieran to full forward. Like things weren't going that smoothly before he did that, but once things click and the confidence started rolling, like that feeling of, I suppose, invincibility kind of got over everyone again, like.
And a ball winner inside, suddenly things, it was very hard to cope with that man in the first couple of seasons. Likewise, towards the end of his career, there was something special going to happen. Personally, then for you, you had to make an impression, because it wasn't a case that you can't say your place was taken for granted. Can I ask you, Jack O'Connor, your first manager you really dealt with at senior level, what was Jack like compared to the other managers?
Jack's a typical teacher. But I suppose for me, like I travelled to a lot of the games with him as well. Like, you know, he'd pick me up in Glenbeigh or whatever. So, like, I suppose I was a student when he brought me in. He was a teacher, so no matter what he said, I was always going to go along with it. But Jack's very straight. Like, I don't think there's any beating around the bush, and I kind of appreciated that. There was obviously times where I thought, geez, I'm going to have to make an impact now coming off the bench. I'll definitely start the next day. But he had a role for me. He said he'd always say it straight out. If you did this or that more, you'd be on. And I was still at a learning stage in my career. So, like, no matter what Jack said when I came in first, I was going to do. So,
did that hurt you early on in your career, that you were beginning to be known as an impact sub? You were the guy when legs were getting tired out there. Suddenly, Darran O'Sullivan is coming off the bench. Oh my God, how am I going to mark this guy? How did that sit with you?
I always think that if I was braver when I was younger, would I have started more games? I suppose at the time, I didn't want to be rocking the boat. We were winning games, and I was contributing whenever I came on. So I suppose there was games there where you come on, you might set up a score or get a late score or kind of really drive home the win or something, and you think, geez, anyone else now, they'd be getting a start the next day after this, or after one good impact or two or three. But I suppose maybe it went against me, but I was a team player. I wanted to win. I wanted to win for Kerry. I was still 19, 20, 21.
Did you question management?
No, never.
You said, I'm glad to be here. And
yeah, like I kind of, like, obviously I'd love to know if I was a bit tougher, would I have been throwing the ties out of the pram? But my thing was, I wanted Kerry to win. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be on the field with these great players that I looked up to. So I was just willing to do whatever it took. There are times now I thought, I do think back and I go, geez, if I went over now, I had a bit of a moan, would he have started me in this game or that game? Because there's certain games now that do stick out to you. Go, geez, maybe if I started, or maybe I'd brought on earlier, you know, things might have been different. But like that, I was there for Kerry. It wasn't about me, it was about Kerry winning. And at the same time, I knew that I was probably the best at doing what I was doing. Not just for Kerry, I had fierce confidence coming off the bench that I'd be able to do something, that I'd be able to see little pockets of space. I'd be like, right, that's where I'm going to be hitting now. And I kind of could read the game. And it's easier when you're younger. You have a load of energy.
Darren, before we go to break, one question for you. When a Kerry player puts on a jersey, in those years, no different, I suppose it's supposed to be every year, you obviously feel that you're better than the opposition. It's kind of bred into you, the tradition. Was that the way it was with Darran O'Sullivan? When you put on the jersey, you went out, no matter who was marking you, I'm better than you.
Yeah, well, you have to think like that. You have to look at your man in the eye and go, right, I can take him to the cleaners, or I can beat him, or do whatever. But my thing was always who was playing in this position before. So if you're in the corner, you'd be thinking of Mikey Sheehy, or if you're out in the wing, it could be Hassett. You know, you'd think of fellas who played the game for Kerry before, legends, and you're going, geez, I'm in his position now, and kind of drive you on to do that bit extra.
Nice question for you. Is it hard to separate confidence from cockiness?
It's a tough question, not that nice. It is. I think confidence is a great thing. Cockiness is good too. Once you know how to use it, once you're not kind of goading the opposition or anything, I think there's a way to be cocky. Like, I think most good footballers are cocky. It's just a bit of...
But you don't like goading in football?
Nah, I don't think there's any need of it.
My highlight of Darran O'Sullivan's career was his backheel goal in Croke Park. Even Messi couldn't have done it better, and that comes from Margaret Boyle. That was a brilliant goal, actually. Paddy Goggin of Causeway says that Darran was a pleasure to watch and will be missed. Best wishes to Darran O'Sullivan on his retirement from inter-county football. We went down to Glenbeigh when he captained Kerry to win the All-Ireland in September 2009. It was a mighty night of celebration. That comes from Dermot and Margaret Ann in Tussis. What else is there? Thanks, Darran, for very enjoyable games. I have two questions for you. Where was your favourite venue to play for both club and county, and what was your most memorable game? And thanks, and that comes from Angela Collins. Your favourite venue, Darran?
Has to be Croke Park.
Croke Park, sure, it's the field of dreams.
Yeah.
Most memorable game, does it, Captain?
Yeah, I suppose the toss-up now between 2009 and the Glenbeigh All-Ireland as well, Glenbeigh and Kerry.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later, because of Glenbeigh, because I was at, I suffered because of you that year as well, being involved with St. Pat's. Can I ask you, first of all, because a lot of, since you retired, everyone wants to talk about the goal against Armagh.
Yeah.
That day you came on as a substitute as well.
Did.
An amazing goal. What did that feel like? There was only going to be one thing in your mind anyway, on your approach to goal.
Yeah, I suppose, just the whole thing opened up and I was clear through. I just, there was no thinking really. It was just get onto it, finish. I just remember seeing it sail past Paul Hirte, and he was actually called into the bar last year. I was too afraid to say to him that, you do know I got my first goal on you. He's a big man. But I just remember just incredible emotion, just roaring. I think it was Niall Botti O'Callaghan nicknamed me Forrest Gump after that for a couple of years, because I just took off running. He thought I'd take off into the hill, but I suppose the first time getting a goal for Kerry in Croke Park in a big game. We were down to 14 at the time, and it was kind of, we're up by 2, but they were starting to make a bit of a comeback, so it kind of just killed off the game. So yeah, it was my first meaningful impact, I suppose. So I suppose first time for Kerry, I can't really say how it felt really. Just sheer emotion just came roaring out of me.
Great excitement, those middle noughties for Kerry. We were expectation, and at the business end, semi-final, final, almost every other year. It was a great time to be involved with Kerry.
Yeah, like I suppose from 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, from a minor final all the way to senior final, all I knew was getting to a senior final and picking up a new suit. My wardrobe was just full of Kerry suits, but it was brilliant. And I suppose, looking back, did I take for granted? 2010 always kind of sticks with me. I just felt we got caught in the hop. I don't know, did we take our eye off the ball or something? But it was a brilliant time. But like, the thing that people forget is, like, it was an incredibly driven group. Like, nobody kind of got ahead of themselves. Everyone just kept looking to push the boat out that extra bit, and that's down to obviously management, but the individuals that were in the dressing room that were winning All-Irelands, All-Stars, Player of the Years, but they just wanted more. They just wanted to get to another final, and people talk about teams going back to back and stuff like that, but even when we had setbacks, we'd still be back again the next year. So I think a lot of people compared us to the Tyrone teams, but my argument was always, yes, they'd win a good All-Ireland, but where were they the following year? Like, whenever we won, we were still back there fighting again. Yeah,
that's a very good point, and sometimes we miss that point when we see Kerry, and I'm sure they'll be back again. Darran, I suppose the highlight then in all those years, it culminated in one very special thing. Everybody's dream is to win an All-Ireland, especially with the Kingdom, but to captain the Kerry side. First of all, you took advantage because Kerry had won the championship, I take it, and then Darran O'Sullivan, automatic captain. What was guys like the Darragh O'Sheas of this world, the great players inside, Declan O'Sullivan, to be a captain of a Kerry team, what was that like?
Yeah, like you said, I was very lucky. Mid Kerry won a county championship. Milltown actually won the Mid Kerry championship, and they were they were the team that nominated me, so obviously I owe them a lot as well. And obviously Jack had to agree to it. So obviously I was only 22 when I got named captain, so I was a young lad. But I always remember Jack ringing me up to tell me and just literally saying, don't worry about it. No extra pressure. I don't expect you to do anything different. Just go out and play your game. And like that, we were a team blessed with leaders, so there was never anything extra asked of me or expected of me, which made it easy. It was just go out, do your stuff, and I kind of learned from the boys that were there, do your leading by trying to get on the ball and make things happen.
And it always relayed back to your club as well. I suppose most players, all players, they'd be nothing but for their club. That's where it all starts, isn't it?
Yeah, like I suppose every player will tell you the same. You get into the dressing room and you flick it open and you look to your name, and underneath is Glenbeigh Glencar. And that always kind of filled me with a bit of pride and emotion, because obviously we were a small club trying to climb through the ranks, and obviously it meant a lot to me. And we hadn't had many Kerry seniors in a long time, so obviously for me it kind of drove me on, because I was proud to be that person, hopefully putting the club back on the map.
Is it very difficult to apply yourself to the club when you're inside with Kerry?
Yeah, it is. It's hard because you're away. You're away all the time, and then when you're back, sometimes I actually found after a long season with Kerry, your energy levels are gone. You're wiped of energy, but you're trying to pick yourself up to go again, and that's why the season has to be probably curtailed a small, because it is very hard. You put everything into from December to hopefully September, training 9-10 months flat out, and then literally hopefully you win or you lose in All Ireland, and a week later, it's right, you had a great run, but we need you now, and the club do need you, because they're the ones that helped you get to where you are, so you have to start giving it back. So it is tough, and like when you're younger, and our team was very young at the time, and you're missing all the crack, and you don't go on any of the nights out after games or anything like that, so you do feel like you're missing bits and pieces, but the fact that Kerry were always successful helped things.
Do you feel you missed out on other parts of life during your time with Kerry? I know it's every young boy's dream to wear the green and gold, but I suppose it's compulsive. It takes over your life. Do you feel you missed out on other parts?
No, not really. To be honest, obviously I've missed occasions, but I've experienced occasions I know a lot of other fellas won't get a chance to do. So obviously you miss the odd wedding here, or the odd christening, or the odd night out, but realistically all the best nights out I've had have been after Kerry games or after wins or stuff like that, or on team holidays. Like a lot of my closest friends now are the players I played with Kerry.
Do you ever say, I had success, I captained Kerry to All Ireland? I'm going to speak to about your club in a while, Darran. Do you ever feel that you could have made it in the soccer the side of it? Because I know I look at your tweets, I follow you, I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I watch, because I know you love sport in general. Do you ever feel that you missed out in soccer?
No, I think it's one of them things, the fact that I stopped playing young. I can always say, geez, I would have made it, but no, I wouldn't have. I don't think so. It's a different game. It's a bit more cutthroat, a bit more ruthless. If I got a choice at 17, 18, 19, I don't think I would have chosen any different. There was talks of rugby at one stage, but once you get a chance to throw on a Kerry jersey, it's very hard. Or once you get a chance to go into a dressing room with the legends that I got to go into the dressing room with, it's very hard to think about anything other than that.
Can I ask you, who was the toughest Kerry back in training? Tom O'Sullivan was the cleanest, I take it.
Yeah. I don't think I saw Tom not cheat on any sprints, but toughest for me was always Padraig Greedy. We came up through the ranks together at minors.
Correct.
And he knew my game. I knew his game, not to be fair, but any time I get it, he'd leave out a roar of steps. I could have after taken 10 solos and 20 steps, but he'd be roaring steps the whole time. As soon as I'd give off the ball or whatever, I'd be there going, would you ever shut up calling steps? And he'd be like, I have to do something. But Padraig was always my toughest marker. Obviously, you'd have the Marks and the Aidens and Killian and stuff like that, but Padraig...
Would you be conscious then, did you ever time yourself for 100 metres?
No.
How fast were you?
I don't know.
You were really fast. Work rate as well, before we go to the break. I suppose that was part of the game then. Your idea was getting the ball on the 40 and run at the defence. Coming back to Findon, how did you adapt to that game?
Yeah, I suppose it was one of them things that we didn't, it wasn't like we were obsessed with it. It was what you did. Like, that was your man. If he goes up the field, you follow him. There was nothing complicated about it. Remember back in the noughties there, like Cork were a very strong running team. You could be wing forward. If the wing back goes, you try and force him up the line and make it as awkward as it can. Like, you followed your man. There was nothing, if he got away from you, you always knew one of the boys would cover but at the same time, if he covered you, you were getting ready to cover for him the next time. So obviously it wasn't my favourite thing defending, but you did what you did, and to be fair, I didn't mind getting stuck in. I kind of liked the physical aspect of Gaelic football, so it was nice for ego to turn someone upside down.
And those comments are still coming through for you, Darran. Best wishes to Darran on his retirement. We'll remember especially the cheeky goal against Limerick in Croke Park. Always a great buzz when Darran went on one of his mazy solo runs. He'll be greatly missed, and that comes from Liam and Aoife in Tralee. Best of luck on the retirement, Darran, a great captain in 09. James from Killarglen would love to say thank you to Sully. He's been absolutely brilliant, from the way he makes his runs and to the way he could stroke the ball with such grace. I have to admit, I was absolutely gutted when I heard the news he was gone. It was like a death in the family. Thank you for the memories and all the best on your retirement. Could you ask Darran, does he have any intention maybe having a future role in the Kingdom staff, or stop these Jackeens? Would you like to be part of a future management team, Darran?
I don't know about that yet. I'm only 32, of a good bit of club football left to play yet, and we'll look at it maybe down the line.
That leads me nicely. The club meant everything to you. You won an All-Ireland club. You made Jura O'Connor, my colleague here in Radio Kerry, cry. You almost had Billy O'Shea, a Lone Rangers man, cry. That was the ultimate for you, was it?
Yeah, there's something different with winning with your club. Do you know, even though Croke Park was, I don't know how many were there, but when you are going up to collect it, or you do look out into the crowd and you can recognise the majority of them, it is that bit different. And you know, even the buzz around the village leading up to, or the going through the Munster run, then the All-Ireland run, the crowd that we got up to Clare when we played Louisburg from Mayo for the semi-final, you know, just you can't really explain.
What was your toughest game that year?
Probably the Louisburg game. We're down 7 points after about 8 minutes. I think they were kicking scores at the great Morris Fitz.
St. Pat's give you a great game.
Oh, well, they did, yeah. There was a bit of argy-bargy.
Do you know what I said to them that day? I said, don't let their best player beat you, and suddenly you do a run down along the sideline, cut in, and you score a goal. That hurt. That hurt us all. We're still hurting behind in St. Pat's.
Sorry about that.
But it meant a lot. Coming into Glenveigh with that cup must have mean, and fair play that night. You came on live on Terrace Talk, and we really appreciate it. But that was, how did it compare to? You always wanted to do something with your club.
Yeah, well, I suppose when you're playing for Kerry, you're away from the club an awful lot. And as I said, sometimes when you go back, you have injuries, you have niggles, and it's sometimes just hard to get going. And people would often say, "Oh, he doesn't care," but it's never like that. But sometimes the body just can't do it after a long season with Kerry. But we had a couple of close calls in the junior where we just couldn't get over the line. So, you know, winning a junior championship at the time was just such a big deal for us, you know, and it was like a weight was off everyone's shoulders. And the way we saw it is everything after that was a bonus.
Ups and downs in your career. We heard about all the ups, being captain and winning with your club. What were the downers in your career?
You just look at the All-Ireland losses, really. I suppose 0-5, 0-8, 0-11, you know, 15, you know, and I suppose when you're finishing, ifs and buts are the worst thing in sport, but you're going to have them. So, you know, they're obviously the disappointing things. Obviously, I've had a few little niggles and injuries, and there's things I wish I'd done a small bit differently, but the highs definitely outweigh the lows, you know, so.
And nothing sticks out, Ray, and you regrets obviously that you didn't do something. Do you feel you got a fair cut at it from every manager you played under?
Yeah, I suppose everyone picks a team on what they feel is going to do the best they can do. I suppose at the start of my career I would love to start it more because I felt I was contributing a lot when I came on, but at the same time I can understand that I had a role to play to help Kerry win All-Ireland, and I was good at being the impact sub, so I can accept that. I suppose during the latter stage of my career I didn't start as much because I had niggles, and they probably didn't think I'd last the 70 minutes, and maybe it'd be more important to be bringing me on than taking me off. Do you know, that it was always explained that it might be a bit of a boost taking me off after 50 minutes, whereas if I was coming on after 50 minutes, it'd be a boost for Kerry, do you know, instead of it being the other way around. So, like, I could understand, and like that, I was always willing. Everyone wants to play more at times, and I suppose the latter stage of my career, I picked up niggles and stuff like that. I found it harder to get the fitness levels back up to where I wanted them to be.
Was the Monaghan game tough for you personally? That was the tough game, which was probably the defining moment for Kerry this season, of one that we probably should have won.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was the Galway game, I suppose, before it. where we just didn't get going. It was just one of them things. We trained incredibly well going into it, and I think it was the only bad day of weather we got for I don't know how long, and just didn't work for us. And I suppose I was sitting on the bench with Kieran, and neither of us got brought on. I just, at that time, that was probably the hardest for me, because I was like going, geez, throw me in there, I could do something here, but it wasn't to be. And then the Monaghan game, I suppose we were going up to Clones, a place we'd never gone for championship, and we needed something to happen. It just didn't happen. It was just...
Can you define that block of Super 8s this year, Darren? What went wrong with Kerry?
I can't, to be honest, because form was incredibly well, a lot of fellas going into it, and we just went through a bad couple of weeks, which sometimes happens, but if it happened at a different stage of the year, no one would even know about it. We just hit a bad run of form. It was nothing to do with the preparation. I don't think it was ever better. We were ready to go, and then it just a couple of weeks where just things didn't go right for us, and when things aren't going right and you're chasing them, normally end up digging bigger holes. So we're just one of them things, I suppose, in sport. It's never that clear cut that you can explain it. It was just...
Darren, we've the last few minutes of this interview, and you said about your highs, your lows. You've been a great servant to Kerry. You have a thriving business in Glenbeigh. It's going to be difficult. A little baby on the way. It's a new chapter in Darran O'Sullivan's life.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we opened a bar restaurant down Rossway, Ross Point, which has been taking a lot of my time. But I suppose the most exciting thing for me will be when myself and Laura do welcome our first child in the next few weeks.
Exciting times in the O'Sullivan household?
Yeah, we're trying to catch up on as much sleep now, or store as much sleep as we can at the moment. So, no, it's all good like that. I'm probably coming into the most exciting period of my life. So, myself and Laura are just looking forward to that.
Can I ask you, you're still playing football, obviously, club. You have a game tomorrow in Croke Park, is it?
Yeah, there's a charity game in Croke Park tomorrow, so a week after I retired, I'm back in Croke Park. Hopefully I won't be leaving injured or anything like that, but myself and Kieran are playing in a game up there for Self-Help Africa, and we have a mid-Kerry final in 2 weeks as well. So Glencar against Lone Rangers, so that's taking up a bit of my time as well.
A quick question on Kerry. Can Kerry bring back Sam in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Look, the talent is there, but obviously, it takes more than talent to win All Ireland. You just have to put everything into it. It's going to take a lot of hard work. I think it is encouraging the players that are coming through, but it takes more than good footballers to win All Ireland. You have to have that kind of steely toughness inside you, and you need a certain type of individuals. So I think fellas shouldn't be expecting immediate results, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got them.
Because Kerry is always a conveyor of talent, and young talent come through. But you're saying that Kerry supporter might have a little patience.
You might have to be a bit patient. There's a lot of young lads there, and these things don't happen overnight, but there's still a lot of experience in that dressing room. So like that, I'll be joining all the Kerry sports on the terrace, so I'll be cheering mad, and hopefully we'll be celebrating in September.
Darran O'Sullivan, brilliant. You came in here tonight for the hour, and all I can say is that it's very easy. Some players, it's easy to commentate because the second you got the ball, you only in one way, like the great late John Egan, you head for goal. You were an absolutely joy to watch. And no different, I said to Kieran Donaghy that night, he gave us 14 years of great memories. And likewise, you can be very proud. And the comments still flowing in. We'll call the winners of the jersey later on in the programme, and likewise the boots. We wish you the very best. Look forward. Who knows? They might be a little Kerry footballer on the way to the O'Sullivan.
Fingers crossed.
It's in the blood anyway. And I look forward personally to watch you play with Glenbeigh and Mid Kerry. You're an absolute legend. We now take a break.
Thanks, Tim.